Imagine for a second that you are running a massive global airline.
Okay, a huge operation.
Right. And to modernize your operations, you decide that every single employee, from like the flight attendants to the baggage handlers to the folks selling tickets at the gate, they all need to learn how to fly a commercial jet.
Which is obviously a terrible idea.
It's completely absurd. So you put them all in a flight simulator for an hour.
Right.
You hand them a laminated cheat sheet of cockpit buttons,
Yeah.
and then you just send them back to work, fully expecting your airline to suddenly become twice as fast.
Yeah, you'd crash immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds completely ridiculous.
Mm.
But that is almost exactly what most companies are doing right now with artificial intelligence.
It really is.
Welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we are bypassing the usual corporate buzzwords to get to the heart of a massive hidden problem in modern business.
It's a pervasive blind spot, honestly. We're treating a profound, foundational technological shift as if it were just, I don't know, another basic software update.
Right, like something you can master in an afternoon workshop.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a fascinating paper today by Divyan Gupta titled, Stop Training People to Prompt. Start Building AI into the Work.
Such a great title.
It really hits the nail on the head. So the mission for our deep dive today is to explore why the current corporate obsession with AI training is just destined to fail.
Yeah, it really is.
And we're going to look at how the real secret to AI transformation isn't about teaching employees how to talk to chatbots. It's about fundamentally redesigning how the work itself actually gets done.
That is the crux of the whole issue right there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in the old corporate world, the learning and development playbook, L&D, was incredibly straightforward.
You find a gap, you fix it.
Right. You identify a skill gap, you launch some kind of training intervention, and then you just measure the improvement.
But like if you taught enough people the right spreadsheet skills, productivity just went up.
Exactly. It was a normal, predictable training curve. But AI adoption does not behave like a normal training curve.
No, not at all.
When you drop an open-ended AI tool into a workforce, it exposes this incredibly uneven baseline of human capabilities.
Right.
So relying on every single employee to become some exceptional prompter is just a recipe for failure.
I see companies doing this all the time, though. Like, they roll out these massive AI literacy sessions.
Oh, yeah, constantly.
They create these company-wide prompt libraries. They appoint AI champions in different departments.
I love that term, AI champions.
Right. And then leadership just pats themselves on the back because, hey, thousands of people logged into the system this month.
It's box checked.
Exactly. But if this familiar playbook is completely broken, we need to understand exactly why it's failing before we can fix it.
Well, the intent behind all of that is genuinely good. I mean, companies want to increase productivity,
Sure.
but this approach assumes everyone is starting from roughly the same point. And when it comes to the specific skills AI demands, that is rarely true.
It's that uneven baseline you mentioned.
Right. There is a hidden inequality inside AI enablement. These tools, they disproportionately reward very specific high-level cognitive behaviors.
Like what, exactly?
We're talking about the clear articulation of intent, structured thinking, the ability to decompose highly complex problems into smaller pieces,
Okay, that makes sense.
and also a high comfort level with iteration, like
Yeah.
the willingness to look at a machine's first output and challenge it. Plus, the ability to specify constraints and success criteria.
Wait, let me push back on that slightly.
Sure.
Aren't prompt libraries supposed to solve exactly this problem?
Mm.
Like, if I don't know how to articulate my intent or structure my thinking, the prompt library gives me the exact words to just copy and paste.
In theory, yes.
I mean, to me, giving someone a prompt library is literally like giving them a cheat sheet or like a recipe.
That's a really great analogy, actually. But think about how a recipe works in practice.
Oh,
The recipe is essentially useless if you don't know how your specific oven works or what a roll and boil actually looks like.
right. Or how to chop an onion properly.
Exactly. Or how to tell when dough is properly proofed. The prompt library gives them the ingredients, but they lack the context of the kitchen.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Most corporate prompts are incredibly brittle without that context. They get copied and pasted by employees who just don't understand the underlying logic.
So if anything changes, it breaks.
Right. The moment the task deviates even slightly from the template, the output completely falls apart.
And the models change all the time, too.
Yes, these prompts degrade very quickly as the AI models themselves get updated. But the biggest issue is that prompt libraries treat prompting as the core capability.
Which it isn't.
Right. And there is a brilliant quote from the source text we really need to highlight here. Prompting is not a skill. Framing is.
Prompting is not a skill. Framing is. Wow, that completely changes how you look at the problem.
It really does. Framing is the ability to understand the entire context of a business problem and then articulate what a valuable solution actually looks like.
Which you can't just teach in a 1-hour Zoom meeting.
Exactly. That is incredibly hard to standardize at scale through a simple workshop. So when companies just push prompt libraries, what they actually get is something the author calls confidence theater.
Confidence theater.
Uh,
I love that term. So what does that look like?
Activity increases, logins go up, the prompt libraries get thicker and thicker.
But the actual results.
The actual decision quality, the operational business outcomes, they barely move at all.
Okay, so framing is the real bottleneck here.
Yeah.
But what does a failure of framing actually look like on the ground?
Well,
Because I imagine, most managers think they're asking perfectly good questions when they use these tools.
they absolutely do. Let's look at a real-world example from the research that perfectly illustrates this gap.
I'd love to hear it.
There was this coaching session with a group of mid and senior level leaders. So these weren't entry-level folks.
Right, these are experienced people.
Highly experienced. They were using an internal AI platform to try and extract data and generate insights for a production area.
Okay. And the way they approach the AI is exactly how most people do. They asked what seems like perfectly reasonable questions about their production metrics.
But I'm guessing they missed something.
Exactly. Because they lacked that framing capability, their questions left out critical underlying assumptions.
And what happened? Did the AI just give them garbage?
It gave them an incomplete answer based exactly on what they asked. It's very literal.
Oh, right.
And because the AI didn't give them the comprehensive insight they actually wanted, the team falsely concluded that the tool simply lacked the metrics needed to solve their problem.
So they just blame the software.
Yep, they blame the software.
But then someone stepped in and changed the frame, right?
Yes. One well-framed query changed the entire outcome.
What did they do differently?
Instead of just asking for a simple data pull, the query was framed with constraints, context, and specific definitions of success.
And the result? In under a minute, the system produced risks and opportunities. It surfaced blockers. It performed an aging analysis on their inventory, and it highlighted the specific business areas those issues were impacting.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because that kind of analysis would normally take a team of analysts days to distill.
Easily. Days or even weeks.
It's like having access to the world's most powerful, all-knowing oracle.
Right.
But the oracle is incredibly literal. It absolutely will not read between the lines for you.
No, it won't. That literal oracle analogy is spot on.
So the bottleneck isn't the oracle's intelligence.
Yeah.
And it isn't the fact that it lacks access to the data.
Exactly.
The absolute bottleneck is the human being's ability to ask the exact right question with the exact right parameters.
Yes. This anecdote proves that AI integration is not an intelligence problem. The AI is plenty smart.
Right.
It is an operating model problem. And right now, mid-management is taking the absolute brunt of this.
Because they're the ones caught in the middle.
Exactly. Managers are suddenly expected to turn their teams into these framing AI rock stars, while they are still expected to hit all their normal quarterly goals.
Which is an impossible demand.
It's completely impossible. If your AI strategy requires every single employee to become exceptional just to get baseline value, it will never scale.
So if, depending on human framing,
Mm-hmm.
making everyone a prompt engineer is a trap, what's the alternative? How do we actually fix the operating model itself?
We have to rethink the operating model entirely. The source text basically presents two ways to look at this. Let's call them Model 1 and Model 2.
Okay, let's break those down. What's Model 1?
Model 1 is the current trap most companies are stuck in. In Model 1, humans drive the output and the AI just assists.
So humans do the work, and the AI is treated like a really smart calculator sitting on the side.
Exactly. And this model fails at scale because it depends entirely on individual human capability.
Which we know is uneven.
Right. You end up with highly uneven results across different teams, massive variance in quality, variance in token usage, and completely inconsistent outcomes.
And then we have Model 2, which is the transformational model, right? The one we actually want to go to.
Yes, Model 2 is the paradigm shift. In Model 2, the AI produces the outputs inside the workflow, and the humans approve it.
Wait, when you say AI produces the output inside the workflow, what does that actually look like for an employee day to day?
Good question.
Are they just like clicking an approve button on a finished report?
In many cases, yes. Imagine you are a sales manager.
Okay.
In Model 1, you open a separate AI chatbot, you copy and paste a bunch of customer notes, you spend 10 minutes trying to write the perfect prompt, and you just hope it spits out a good weekly account plan.
Which sounds exhausting.
It is.
Yeah.
But in Model 2, you don't do any of that. You simply log into your CRM on Friday morning, and the AI has already drafted the weekly account plan based on the week's inputs.
Oh, wow. So it's just sitting there waiting for you.
Exactly. It's embedded in the tools where the work already happens. You read it, you tweak a sentence, and you hit approve.
So the humans are just reviewing, correcting, and escalating.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, in your daily work? It means you shouldn't panic if you aren't an AI whisperer.
Oh, absolutely not.
Your job isn't going to be writing the perfect prompt. AI transformation is a workflow design problem, not a training problem. So your job is going to evolve into being an editor and a reviewer of what the AI drafts for you.
And what's fascinating here is the profound psychological and operational impact of flipping that dynamic.
How so?
Well, Model 2 drastically reduces human cognitive load.
Oh, for sure. Blank page syndrome is gone.
Exactly. It standardizes the quality of the work because the AI is applying the same baseline standard every single time it drafts that report.
Right.
It massively compresses the cycle time it takes to get things done. And most importantly, it scales.
Because you don't need 1,000 prompt engineers.
Right. You are no longer asking every single employee to become an expert prompter. You aren't changing the people. You are redesigning how the work gets done.
But wait, if the AI is doing all this drafting and heavy lifting in the background, someone has to pay for the meter, right? Like that computing power isn't free.
No, it is definitely not free. And that leads us to a very real, very unavoidable collision at the executive level.
Because changing the workflow fundamentally changes the financial reality of AI.
Exactly. We have to look at AI usage economics.
Okay.
AI isn't just a flat-rate software subscription in most enterprise cases. It is metered.
So it's based on how much you actually use it.
Right. The tokens, which are essentially the tiny units of computing power the AI uses to read and generate text, they are traceable.
Traceable, huh?
Suddenly, costs can be attributed by team, by workflow, by vendor, and by output category.
So it's no longer just a fun IT initiative. It becomes a deeply financial conversation.
Precisely. And this creates an impending collision between three key executives: the CFO, the CHRO, and the CIO.
Okay, let's break those lenses down. What does each of these leaders actually want out of this?
Well, the chief financial officer, the CFO, wants predictability. They want efficiency, a reduction in variance, and measurable return on investment.
They're looking at the bill.
Exactly. They're looking at the unit economics. Now, the chief human resources officer, the CHRO, they care about capability building, fairness across the workforce, team morale, and redesigning roles.
Making sure people are evolving, not just getting replaced.
Right. And finally, the chief information officer, the CIO, focuses on security, governance, system integration, and reliability.
Which all makes sense in isolation.
Yes, but if those three leaders don't align, you get a highly predictable, highly toxic future scenario.
Paint that picture for me. What does that toxic scenario look like?
Okay, imagine a global enterprise allocates a massive AI usage budget. They have internal teams, and they have an outsourced partner.
Okay, tracks and so far.
Suddenly, the outsourced partner starts consuming a massive, disproportionate share of tokens on a very narrow set of tasks.
So the bill spikes.
Right. The CFO sees this massive cloud computing bill and demands an explanation.
And what does the partner say?
The partner argues, hey, this is a learning curve. We're building capability.
Which is totally a CHRO argument.
Exactly. But finance argues unit economics, because they don't have a shared definition of what acceptable output looks like or how many tokens a task should cost. It just devolves into a turf war.
Rather than an optimization exercise.
Right. It's just conflict.
Let me jump in and play devil's advocate here, though.
Go for it.
If finance just starts counting tokens, and I know my boss is watching how much computing money I'm spending every time the AI drafts something for me, I'm going to be terrified to use it.
Yeah, that's human nature.
Won't employees just stop using AI out of fear of costing the company money? Doesn't that optimize for the entirely wrong thing?
You've hit the nail on the head. If finance measures tokens alone, you will absolutely optimize the wrong thing.
Because cheaper isn't always better.
Token optimization can actually destroy quality. If you tell an AI to use fewer tokens, it might just give you a shorter, less accurate, basically useless answer.
Right.
That's why we need a golden metric that prevents this exact fight. Cost per validated outcome.
Cost per validated outcome. Okay, let's define that. What does validated actually mean in this context?
Validated means the quality of the AI's work meets a strictly agreed upon standard.
So it's actually useful.
Yes. It means there is evidence that the work is correct, it has passed all the necessary governance gates, and there is clear human accountability for the final product.
Got it.
When you measure the cost per validated outcome, tokens just become one input metric, like electricity or office supplies. They are no longer the goal.
So it bridges the gap between all the C-suite leaders.
Exactly. It keeps the CFO's desire for financial rigor perfectly aligned with the CHRO's desire for capability building.
Okay, so we understand the right metric cost per validated outcome. And we understand the right model two, where AI is embedded right in the workflow and humans just approve it. So practically speaking, now that we understand this, how does a company actually build it? Is there a playbook?
There is. The paper details a highly effective 90-day playbook a company can take.
Excellent.
But first, it requires a completely new capability stack. You have to realize that you don't need prompt trainers anymore.
Right. Out with the prompt workshops. So who do we need?
What you actually need are workflow architects.
Just to use the ELI 5 principle here.
Yeah.
Explain, like I'm 5'5", what exactly does a workflow architect do?
So a workflow architect is someone who looks at how a piece of work moves from point A to point B.
Like processing a customer complaint.
Exactly. From the complaint coming in to the resolution being emailed out, they figure out exactly where the AI can instantly draft, summarize, or analyze the data inside that process, so the human only has to review it.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Who else do we need?
You also need subject matter experts, or SMEs, who can codify human decisions and constraints into those AI patterns.
So they basically teach the AI what good looks like.
Right. You also need data owners to ensure the inputs are trustworthy, governance owners to set approval thresholds, and change leaders to help employees actually transition from doing the work to supervising the work.
Okay. And once you have those people in place, what does this 90-day playbook look like?
It's incredibly structured. It's 6 steps.
Let's hear them.
Step 1, pick just 3 repeatable workflows.
Only 3.
Yes, don't try to boil the ocean and change the whole company at once. Pick things with high decision frequency, like routine weekly reporting, risk triage, or backlog grooming.
Or QA reviews, maybe.
Exactly. Step 2, embed AI directly into those tools.
So no external chatbots.
None. The AI has to live where the work happens, automatically pulling the data it needs.
Okay, what's step 3?
Step 3, define the evidence and approval gates.
Meaning figuring out what the AI is allowed to do on its own versus what needs a human sign-off.
Exactly. What ships automatically and what explicitly requires a human to read it and click approve.
Makes sense.
Step 4 is crucial based on what we discussed earlier about confidence theater. Measure impact, not adoption.
Okay, so what are we tracking then?
You track cycle time, error rates, and decision latency.
Just to be clear, by decision latency, you just mean the time it takes for a manager to actually make a choice and move the project forward.
Precisely. Are we making good decisions faster? You absolutely do not track logins.
Right, no login counting.
Step 5, reshape roles and incentives. You have to stop rewarding employees for busy work and manual data extraction and start rewarding them for supervision and validation.
That's a huge culture shift.
It really is. And finally, step 6, create a joint operating forum.
To get the executives talking.
Yes, you literally put the CFO, CHRO, CIO, and business owners in the same room to align on the economics, the capability building, and the governance.
I love how actionable that is. And honestly, looking at that playbook, it's just as important to highlight what companies need to stop doing. Based on everything we've covered, companies need to emphatically stop measuring logins as a metric of success.
Yes.
They need to stop treating prompt libraries as if they are a real, durable capability.
Yeah.
And they need to stop delegating this AI transformation entirely to the IT department without any actual business or talent ownership.
Adoption metrics are simply not impact metrics.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture to sort of summarize the ultimate conclusion of the source text, it's a profound warning.
Let's hear it.
The companies that win the AI revolution will not be the ones with the best prompts.
Right.
They won't have the flashiest prompt libraries or the highest employee login rates. The winners will be the companies with the best operating models.
They'll be the ones who align finance, talent, and technology.
Exactly. And what's truly chilling for the companies that get this wrong is how this gap will form.
It's not going to be some massive explosion, is it?
No. The competitive gap between the companies doing this right and the companies just running prompt workshops, it won't happen loudly. It is going to widen quietly, and then suddenly it will be completely insurmountable.
Wow. That quiet widening is a really powerful image. It won't be a sudden crash. It'll just be waking up one day and realizing your competitors are moving like 10 times faster than you.
Exactly.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something to explore on your own that builds on everything we've discussed today.
It's a big one.
It is. Let's say we do this perfectly. Let's say a company successfully transitions to Model 2.
Okay.
The AI generates all the routine work inside the workflow, and the human employees merely sit back, review it, and approve it. It is highly efficient.
Sounds great on paper.
Right. But how will the next generation of workers ever develop the foundational intuition required to know what a good output actually looks like?
That is the big question.
Right. If you are a junior employee and you never have to do the grueling manual data extraction yourself because the AI just does it for you, do you eventually lose the ability to effectively govern that AI a decade from now?
If you don't build the muscle, you can't flex it.
Exactly. Have we just built an autopilot so good that our future pilots will completely forget how to fly the plane when the screen goes dark?
That is the existential question of the embedded AI era. If framing is the ultimate skill, human intuition is the foundation of framing.
And you can't prompt your way into intuition.
You really can't.
It's something every leader is going to have to grapple with very soon. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. As you go back to your day, we encourage you to look at your own daily workflows, your own tools, and your own company's training programs through this entirely new lens. Are you being taught to fly a plane, or are you helping to build the autopilot? Till next time.